Good evening. So my name is Lisa, and I'm a missionary from Mississauga, and I'm so excited to be with all of you. A little bit about me is I did an undergrad at the University of Toronto, and I did a Bachelor of Arts, and I just love theology of the body. And we had the privilege of actually meeting Christopher West and getting taught by him. So we're just so excited to share a bit about what we learned.
Hi, my name is Chai. I'm also from Mississauga. I graduated from York University with a degree in graphic design. And prior to this mission, I was actually in advertising for about a year. And when Lisa had told me about regeneration, that we would have the opportunity to share the message of theology of the body and chastity to many youth and many young adults, I gladly quit my job. And now I'm in this mission. So very excited to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Desiree, and I'm from Mississauga too. I graduated from Ryerson University with a degree of Bachelor of Applied Science in Nutrition and Food, and I liked it so much that I'm not even working in that field. I am enjoying what I'm doing right now. I'm a missionary, just like the two of them, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and I look forward to seeing you all after we talk.
Awesome. So you're going to hear a little more from these lovely ladies in a while. But before I start, I just want to let you know that yes, all of our presentation does stem from the beautiful St. John Paul II teaching, but because theology of the body is so vast, we wouldn't be able to cover it all. So we're going to do our best to focus on a few questions. So some of the questions that we're going to discuss is, why do we want relationship? Why do we desire to be respected? Why do we desire to feel beautiful or to be wanted or to be cherished? Why do we desire a family? So all these questions point to deeper desires inside of us, and I'm going to do my best to unpack these questions and unpack everything that's going behind that. And Chai and Desiree then will discuss how we respond to this desire, and they'll be focusing on 3 different ways specifically. So before I start, I just want to ask a question to all of you. What are some of your favorite artists or bands, like favorite musicians? Any volunteers? Okay. Any Ed Sheeran fans? Or Justin Bieber? No, you guys might be. Anybody like Taylor Swift? Taylor Swift's she's a good one, right? Okay. So I just wanted to make a point that a lot of our favorite musicians, right? A lot of our favorite artists, what are they usually singing about? They're usually singing about these very same questions. They're singing about the desire for love, the desire for relationship, the desire to be wanted. But I'm going to focus specifically on Taylor Swift because she's pretty awesome. And I want to focus on one song, particularly Wildest Dreams. Have you guys heard this song? It's been a pretty big one. So this is some of the lyrics from Wildest Dreams. It goes like this. Say you'll remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, red lips and rosy cheeks, say you'll see me again, even if it's just pretend. And when I was thinking about this song, I was thinking about Taylor Swift, I thought a lot about how she desires love. She really wants intimacy. She really wants to be known. She really wants relationship. And a lot of what she's saying is pointing to how she's pointed her desire at guys and relationships and at the world, but she was left unsatisfied. Because she wants love even if it's pretend, right? She wants to be filled even a little bit. Like she'd rather have satisfactory love than be alone. Now I want you to parallel this quote to another quote. So the quote goes like this. I've taken you in my arms and I love you, and I prefer you to my life itself. For the present life is nothing, and my most ardent dream is to spend it with you, in such a way that we may be assured of not being separated in the life reserved for us. I place your love above all things, and nothing would be more bitter or painful to me than to be of a different mind than you. So, from this quote, we can see that St. John, Taylor's got nothing on St. John, right? When we're talking about love. This is such a beautiful depiction of how all of us desire love. All of us desire to be cherished and wanted in this way. But I was focusing a bit on how they differentiate. So, when we look at the lyrics, right? Say you'll remember me standing in a nice dress. That's what Taylor's saying. Remember me. Make me feel wanted. Make me feel special because I need to know that I'm valuable. But St. John is saying, I prefer you to my life itself. For the present life is nothing, and my most ardent dream is to spend it with you. And then Taylor is saying, say you'll see me again, even if it's just pretend. Like, she just wants the bare minimum. But St. John is saying, I place your love above all things, right? When we think about the distinctions of that, like, the reason why St. John can write like this way, in such a beautiful, poetic way, is because he searched for love, and he was satisfied, right? And he found exactly what he was looking for. And when he found love, he couldn't wait to show it and fill everybody else with it, because he was so on fire. Because he searched for perfect love in the source of love. You know, he directed his desire at heaven, but Taylor directed it to the world. She directed it to things where she couldn't necessarily be satisfied, right? She would always feel empty, she'd always feel hungry. And when St. John set his sights on heaven, he knew that was exactly what he'd been searching for his whole life. So that's just an example of how media, even today's media, we're seeing it. You know, this desire for love, this desire for beauty, it's rampant. And it's a beautiful, good desire. This ache for the fulfillment of our heart's desires, for all our dreams to come true, for that ache for love, like, it is such a real love. And this way that St. John is depicting love, like, who wants to be loved like this? I know I do. And this is an example of how love can be fulfilled. Like, it is possible to have this kind of story. And this ache and desire for more, it can sometimes lead us to getting affirmation from the world. Sometimes we think that love is something that we earn. You know, we can earn love in relationships, or in achievements, or in job promotions, or in our career, or in our school, you know, in grades. We think that love is based on value, on performance, on how good we look, or how well we do. But this ache and this desire for love is meant to point us to our longing and need for God. That longing of the human heart where nothing else can satisfy. Because we're drawn to beauty, right? So what do you guys do when you see a beautiful sunset, or you see like a baby laugh? You want to capture it, right? You want to take a photo, you want to take a video, you want to capture a moment of beauty, because seeing beauty awakens a desire in us, right? It awakens a hunger in us where we want to know more. We want to capture that moment. And surrounding yourself with true beauty, it will awaken that, because the desire for eternity is stamped in our hearts. It's not just stamped in like St. John's heart, it's stamped in all of our hearts. The desire for heaven is there. And nothing can fully satisfy us on earth, because our physical senses, they're a doorway to our spiritual senses. And we need to learn to direct that desire for heaven back to heaven, not to earth. Because we'll be disappointed. If we direct our desire for heaven to earth, we'll always feel like we're lacking. And a little story I want to tell you about. I'll tell you a quick story, but I want to ask you a question that I want you to reflect on. So, in your own personal lives, when was your first exposure to true love? When was your first exposure to sacrificial love, or any kind of love, from as early as you can remember, like your earliest memories? And I'm sure a lot of you will have the same answer as me. It was my family, right? It was my mother, my father, my siblings. It wasn't necessarily movies or relationships or dating. And I want to tell you a little story about my mom. So, I love my mom. She's a wonderful woman, and she's one of my biggest role models. And I remember every wedding anniversary, I would get her this really cheesy gift. So I have an example of what I used to get her. Give me a second, maybe I have a photo of it. So this is a depiction of the kind of gifts I would get for her when I was 6 or 7 years old. I would get her these little figurines for her wedding anniversaries of, like, you know, this cute little groom and like this bride, and they were sailing off into the sunset on their wedding day. Because I thought that would make my mother happy. That would remind her of this beautiful, like, commitment she made to marriage. And I would save up my allowance, and I'd get so excited to surprise her with it. And I remember every year she'd be like, "Oh honey, that's cute." And then she'd just like set it aside. I'm like, I saved my allowance for this, like, why aren't you more excited, right? But I never understood why she wasn't more excited. And I remember I was in adoration earlier this year, and I was just praying, and somehow this memory came into my mind. I'm like, why am I thinking about this? And then I realized, because this figurine it held promises, right? And when I was giving this to my mother on her wedding anniversary, I was telling her that I believe that your marriage reflects this. You know, the beautiful bride and the handsome groom sailing off to the sunset, you know, dreaming all these wonderful plans that they have for the marriage. And I remember every year I'd give her like a version of this figurine. If they weren't on a horse, they'd be on like a park bench, or they'd be on something else. But it was always the same dream because I wanted this kind of love story from my mom. But the truth was, my mom, she didn't get this love story. That ache and desire for love wasn't fulfilled in her marriage. And when I reflected on this, I started to cry in adoration because I realized that my mom's deep desire to be loved, like how St. John Chrysostom said, it was never satisfied. And it broke my heart. You know, it broke my heart because so many of us, we think that, you know, marriage or our job or, you know, school or any kind of achievement, we think that that is going to fulfill that ache, that desire for love. But it doesn't. It always leaves us feeling wanting because those highs that we receive from the job promotion, all those things are temporary. You know, like we can get the best job, we can get the best car, or if you're into video games, like you can finish the final level on a video game, or you can have like your favorite dessert, but then you still want more. You're kind of like, oh, I gotta buy the next video game, gotta get some more dessert, gotta get a newer car, gotta get a newer phone. Like that high always doesn't stay. And the reason why is because we're not meant for earthly kind of love. We're not meant to settle for mediocrity, but to strive for greatness. And nothing can heal or fill that ache but perfect love itself. And if we strive to just get earthly kind of love, we'll end up just practicing our lives, not even living our lives. You know, like when we just grasp for love and strive to get love because we think love is performative or based on our value, we look for it in careers, relationships, or being academically minded, and we end up just feeling empty, feeling unsatisfied, feeling like it's just pretend, just like Taylor Swift. But the solution is we need to see our own misery, see how much we are without those masks, you know, without the achievement, without the makeup, without all those things. Who are we? Who are we really behind all those different masks that we carry? And we need to still accept everything that we are, all that junk, and still be open to receive God's love and mercy. Because that's the biggest thing. If we see who we really are and realize that we're still worthy of love, regardless of who we are and the mess that we have, that's the biggest step. Because I'm going to tell you a secret on how to get to heaven, okay? The secret is, all you have to do is just be like, Lord, I'm a mess. Like, this is my junk. Take it. That's all you have to do to get to heaven. That's all that the saints did. If you read everything that they write, they're just like, Lord, take it, like, fix me, get this sorted. And that's how they got to heaven. They said that every day. Lord, this is my misery. I offer it to you. I surrender it to you. And that's the most truthful prayer that we can ever make. And one thing I also want to tell you is that your value is not lessened by your flaws. You know, your value is not lessened by your flaws because you're not earning God's love. You already have it, right? You're not earning God's love because you already have it. And we see this even in Lazarus. So, you know the Bible? Some of you read it. I don't read it that much. I try to, but... So the story of Lazarus, he was dead for how many days? Any biblical scholars? He was dead for 4 days. So if he was dead for 4 days, he must have been pretty dead, right? And he probably smelled really bad. So when his family came down, they're like, Jesus, you're too late. Like, Lazarus is dead. And Jesus is like, roll away the stone. But then his friends and family were like, no, you don't want to smell that. Like, he's been dead, Jesus. But Jesus is like, no, like, roll away the stone. And that just showed me how Jesus is not afraid. He's not afraid of our mess. He's not afraid of our stench. You know, he wants to mourn with us. He wants to journey with us. And he wants to bring us to new life. He wants to take us out of that despair and bring new restoration, new hope, new healing. Because he knows that we're capable of that. And I know sometimes we think that, you know, when we, like, those crutches or the stones that we have in our lives, it's hard to roll away that stone. You know, whether the stone is an addiction, or whether it's social media, or whether it's a harmful relationship, or whether it's, I don't know, like being a workaholic, like whatever your crutch is or whatever your stone is, Jesus can't take that away without your permission. Like you have to give that yes. And that's the first step to accepting your ache and realizing that you don't need to settle for these crutches and for all these different things, because when you do let go of that crutch, sometimes it feels terrible, right? Like we're all in Lent right now, we're all probably gave something up, and whatever we gave up, to some degree it might be a crutch, it might be something that we're relying on too heavily. Like for example, I gave up chocolate, and that's a big deal for me. Everybody knows I love dessert. But when I couldn't have chocolate, I felt like I was stripped naked, because I was like, man, I rely on this for comfort. I rely on this for affirmation, to feel better. But because when those crutches get taken away, we base our identity on those parts of us. And when they're taken away, it's like, well, who am I? Who am I really without social media? Who am I really without that addiction? Who am I really without makeup or whatever it is? Because we base our value on that crutch, whether it is, the likes you get on social media, or whether it's how smart we are, the grades that we get. Like all these things somehow validate our worth to a degree. And we think that this makes us more capable of better love because of how we function, or how we perform in this. But that's so far from the truth, because like I said, we're not earning God's love, we already have it. So we just need to understand how greatly valued we are to God. How excited He is for each and every one of your lives. And if you feel the ache, if you feel the desire for true love, like St. John, Jesus knows that feeling. He knows how you're feeling, because He felt the ache in such a deep way. His ache led Him to die on a cross for us. Can you imagine? Like, His ache and thirst for us it's beyond comprehension. And I know that revisiting and venturing into those wounds of fear and rejection, they can be scary. It's going to sting, it's going to be painful, it's going to be like opening a wound. But when you go into that journey with Christ, it can be a birthplace of hope and restoration and healing. And it's going to bring so much fulfillment to your life. And I know when you say yes to God and say yes to leaving behind those crutches, your suffering will turn into something beautiful. Your scars will become your ministry. They will strengthen you and bring you fulfillment. And I just challenge you in a really special way to use your life, use your stories to defend what is true, good, and beautiful, because that ache, that groaning for more, it stretches our hearts to love radically and to love selflessly. If we unite that ache with the author of love, and if we learn to rest in the ache and that groaning, we can rekindle the desire for true, authentic love. So now we're going to hear more from Chai about how we respond to desire when we acknowledge that we have this ache.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa did a great job just painting that picture for us, that ache, that desire for love, and how it's good and holy, and how it is meant to point us back to God, back to heaven, and point us to that truth that we are made for such epic and eternal love. And so every one of us will experience this ache at one point or another, in one form or another. I know I have, in many different times in my life, many different forms. And everyone will experience three different options to respond to this desire for love. And I'm here to speak to you about the first response, which arguably I think is the most popular, most common, and in my opinion, the most inaccurately portrayed of all the responses in our culture today. And this response is called indulgence. Today's culture has done an amazing job masking our desire for love and reducing this honest desire by convincing us that by love we mean to say we're desiring for only companionship, only pleasure, only acceptance, only attention. Don't get me wrong, these desires are good, they're not necessarily bad desires, but these are fractions of the whole truth. And without realizing it, we are being fed half-truths about this crazy little thing called love. And that these half-truths are actually restricting our full appreciation, our full understanding of this love, the beauty and true value of love. But it's very important to point out that these half-truths, they don't show us the whole picture. And once you believe that our ache, the ache that Lisa was just talking about, that it's pointing us to a desire only for such, companionship, only pleasure, only acceptance, only attention, and not the fullness of love, which is total, faithful, fruitful, and free. It makes it much easier for each of us to fall into the trap of accepting and being content with and indulging in counterfeit love. And so I want to demonstrate the point that I'm trying to make a little bit better, hopefully, through a demonstration, through a little analogy. And so I want you to imagine that this piece of paper is a beautiful painting. This is the most beautiful painting that you have ever seen. And this is a painting of the original and full truth of what love is. This is the full truth, what it was created to be in the very beginning. Can I get some oohs and some ahs from the audience? Beautiful painting right here. And what the enemy and what sin has done to this beautiful painting of love is distorted it. Basically, I'm trying my very best to crumple this with one hand. It's quite challenging, but it's distorted it. And the enemy and what sin has done is, after distorting it, we are tempted to be enticed by this distortion. Because really the enemy knows that love is something so good, so true, and so beautiful, and all he can really do is distort it and distract us from seeing the fullness of this beautiful picture, of this beautiful truth. And so after distorting it, he entices us with this version of love, and manipulates our bodies and our hearts to believe that this distorted version of love is what we want. This is what we're aching for. This is all that we're desiring. That what we actually ache for is just companionship, because we don't want to be alone. So we'll settle for whatever we can get, whoever we can get. Manipulates us into thinking that all we want is pleasure, because love is supposed to feel good. So it doesn't make a difference how or from who I get this pleasure from, as long as I get it. We're manipulated into thinking that we desire only acceptance. So it's okay to compromise anything and everything to feel like we fit in, to feel like we belong. Manipulated into thinking that all we want is attention in any form of praise. So it doesn't matter how much or how little we expose of ourselves. And it's worth mentioning again that this version, this distorted, crumpled up version, does not show us the whole picture of what love is. Because love is so much more than just companionship, so much more than just pleasure and acceptance and attention. And growing up, from being a young, innocent child to a curious and know-it-all teenager, I searched and searched for love. And the only response that was promoted and encouraged to me by my friends, by the movies I was watching, the TV shows, all the music I was listening to, and all the celebrities I was looking up to, was this response to indulge. And it got very confusing and very disappointing very quickly. Because in my desire for acceptance amongst my peers, I started to date. I started to date much sooner and more often than my mind and my heart was prepared for. In my fear of being alone, I settled for relationships that left me hurting, that left me insecure. And in that insecurity, in that fear of being rejected, fear of being abandoned, I gave more than hugs and kisses, when hugs and kisses were all that I should have given. And in my desire for attention, I didn't even consider if I was leading the young men in my life, the young men, the young guy friends that I was blessed with, if I was leading them towards holiness or towards sin. And in hindsight, I wish I had been warned and told that this indulgence, that this response to indulge is not at all what the media and what culture has made it out to be. Presently, by being part of the regeneration mission, I had the opportunity to encounter people, young people who have been hurt and misled the same way I was. And I get to see from their stories, from their witness, how much these distortions of love, manifesting itself in the hookup culture, in casual dating, in pornography, how these distortions of love have hurt our generation of youth and the generation of families. I guess my last point, before I pass it on to Desiree to speak more about the other two responses, is contrary to what we've been told and what we've been made to believe, indulgence, this response to indulge, as tempting as it gets, it does not bring freedom or love. All it brings is pain and unhealthy addiction. And so I'd like to pass on the mic to Desiree to speak to you more about the other two responses to love.
So God is good? Okay, I just want to make sure you guys are still here. So God is good? Okay, all the time? Okay. Just want to make sure you're still here. Chai just mentioned one of our responses to the desire that we all have in us, this desire to love and to be loved. And one of the responses is indulgence. I'm here to talk to you about the second response that some of us may find ourselves in. I don't know if any of you have heard of Christopher West. Have you all heard about Christopher West? Okay, so I don't watch a lot of movies, so I don't really have any celebrities that I'm a fan of or anything, but I'm a big fan of Christopher West, only because of how he explains theology in the Bible. So I'm just about to read something from what he wrote. It says, so remember this, right? Remember this beautiful piece of paper that is all crumpled up right now? This represents a life of indulgence. Now, Christopher West says, those who get burned by the life of the addict may then be tempted to become a stoic, someone who represses the ache and tries not to feel it. So the first option was indulgence, and the other option is to repress these desires in us. Question, how many of you here like to feel the ache? The ache of longing for this love? Does anyone like it? No, I just want to say that I hate it. I hate the feeling because it does not feel good. But then, so what did I think? Okay, so I hate the feeling, right? I hate the feeling of this. So I thought the best option then was not to indulge in it, but to repress it. And so think that this is garbage. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it. So that way I don't have to feel anything. And guess what? If the life of indulgence leads to pain and sorrow and all of that, the life of repression leads to numbness, where you don't feel anything. And I was like, ooh, this feels awesome because I don't feel any hurt, I don't feel any pain. I'm good. Like, Lord, take me now. I'm great. I'm happy to be with you. Until I discovered theology of the body. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ready for this life. Because I thought me repressing those desires was the way to go. And it wasn't. And so Christopher West continues on to say, many people mistake this approach for holiness, the one that I just threw it into the garbage. Many people mistake this approach for holiness as if Christianity's prescribed remedy to disorder desire is to squelch desire altogether. Okay, so here I am. I started going to my prayer group since I was 13 years old. And I was like, you know what, I want to be holy. I see all these people, like, they're happy, they're living the life, and they're still happy. Like, they're not doing anything wrong, they're happy. And I wanted to be happy too, so I thought, for me to be holy, I need to get rid of this, because this is bad. But in reality, the original art piece was not bad. It just got distorted somehow. And I thought that was the way to be holy, but it wasn't until I discovered theology of the body. And where do we go from from here, if it's not indulgence, if it's not repression, then what is it that can truly set us free? For this longing that we all have. And I'm going to continue. The reason why I'm reading Christopher West, because he says it the best. So if you are still with me, he says, no, the addict who indulges must not become a stoic who represses. The addict must become a mystic, someone who is learning how to direct his desire for infinity toward infinity. And this ache that we're talking about is this deep longing that we have in our hearts. It's not just like, oh, my muscle aches right now or something. It's not just a temporary, it's a deep longing which will not fully be filled while we're here on earth. We're all pilgrims in this land. We're all pilgrims. And so if we try and fill this ache with temporary things, it's not going to. We're never going to be satisfied. Right? And I don't know, like, do you all know the life of St. Augustine? Okay, here's the thing. So when I don't remember, when I was in high school or university, I came across something that he said. He said, our hearts are restless until they rest in God. I don't even think about it. Also, I'm a thinker then and now. I think a lot. I keep thinking. And St. Augustine said, our hearts are restless until they rest in God. And I was like, okay, so does that mean that even if I had the best job, the best boyfriend, the best car, the best family, if I'm still going to be restless, then I want to know who this Jesus is, who this God is. Because I don't, like at that age, I saw people around me, they weren't happy, they weren't peaceful. But I saw people in my prayer group, even though what they were going through life, with all its difficulties, they rested, they had the peace in their hearts because they trusted in God. And what did St. Augustine do before he became a saint? Augustine was he was a bad boy, right? And when I heard about his life, he liked, I guess in those days, partying, but he also even had a child out of wedlock. And I was like, what? How the heck did he become a saint? But that's the thing, even though he had this woman he loved, he had this child, he was still restless. And I was like, okay, and for them to finally discover that he would only be he could only rest unless he rested in God. So he had to rest in him. That's how he found his peace, that's how he found his joy. And so, with this, what do we do with this piece of paper? It's not just a piece of paper, it represents something more. God wants to do something in your life and in my life. So we must redirect our desires according to God's design, not according to what the world tells us, but according to God, how God desired it for us. So I'm just gonna, I hope this is still on. Okay, I can still read it in the meantime. It says, Christianity is the religion of desire, not Desiree, of desire, and its saints are the ones who have had the courage to feel the abyss of longing in their souls and in their bodies, and to open that longing in the groanings of prayer to the one who alone can heal their wound of love. So again, Christianity is the religion of desire, and its saints are the ones who have had the courage to feel the abyss of longing. And I'm just asking you, do you have the courage? Because I thought, okay, I have the courage, so I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm good. But no, what God wants to do in your life and in my life, that's why he came down to earth, to redeem us. And so he wants to open this up in our own lives. So do we have the courage? Do you have the courage to feel the abyss of longing? Because unless we feel, we can't even ask for help, unless we know that we need help. So firstly, do we have the courage? And secondly, the only way to fill this longing is to open that longing in the groaning of prayer to our God, who alone can satisfy. And slowly we will see this beautiful piece of art uncrumple in our own lives. And as I was just going over this talk today, something that came to mind was St. Pope John Paul II, who said, what did he say? Let me check. I don't want to say my words. It says, do not be afraid. Open wide the gates of your heart, because God wants to fill it. And he's not a selfish God. He just doesn't want us to be like, oh Lord, like just with Him 24/7. No, in that longing, in our longing, and in our opening of our hearts to Him, that's how we can love those around us the way He's called us to love them, through authenticity. And so, lastly, just want to thank you all for this time, and just end off with this one thing. I know some of us, like as we journey this journey that I was talking about, this uncrumbling of this paper, I thought, okay, maybe when I'm like 30 or something, it's going to be done. I was wrong. I'm not 30 yet. But it's only going to end once we all are dead and gone, only because it's not the end of our lives. We begin a new life with Christ in heaven. But this uncrumbling of this paper takes a lifetime. And so I encourage you to not be afraid and to rest in that ache that we were talking about. And lastly, I came across, I'll just let that be there. It says, I heard it on the radio, it says, never stop seeking, because seekers find, and so will you. And that's why God says, seek and you will find. And so I wish you all the best, and I thank you all for your attention. Thank you.